First question that I wanted to ask you about is a little bit on your background. So could you introduce yourself, who you are, your role, your business, what your business does, how long you've been in the business?
Okay, so my name's Adam Brooks. I run a number of businesses, one of which is Sales Academy. And Sales Academy was basically just set up to target businesses in the area where we thought they would and believe they were weakest. So everybody loves to get into business to do what they love to do, but they very quickly admit that they're not a salesperson, they're not a good business person, they're not an accountant, they're not a marketeer, and all these kind of things. So we can do all the finance stuff, the systems, the people, all those elements, great, but if there's no money coming in through the till, then you're not going to last very long in business. So lead generation, marketing, sales, and all those skills in terms of the systems, the process, but also the psychology, the relationships, the rapport building. What we designed was a system that is a transfer of knowledge training business, together then with an accountability model where every single client that works with us, no matter what scale they're on, we did like low ticket for pre-starter businesses at £49 a month, UK sterling, right the way up to £1,500 a month for more established businesses. But fundamentally, what you get is 15-minute accountability every week. Get face-to-face coaching time via Zoom or via in premises and stuff like that, wherever that may be. And what we do is we transfer the knowledge and then hold people accountable to get the results in their business. And it's bizarre. It can be everything from their pricing, what to say when they pick up the phone, what their copy needs to be on their website in terms of are they dealing with the pain points, the pleasure points, are they actually talking to their customers about their products and services, how they can solve it, change their lives around and stuff. And it really started to develop into this whole kind of rolling stone that gathers no moss, in the sense that we've got people that are kind of calling me and meeting me saying, I've got a problem with my sales. Okay, cool. So have you got 100 leads in your inbox that you're not sure what to say and not to do? They went, well, no, I haven't got any leads. I was like, okay, cool. So it's not a problem with your sales then, it's a problem with lead generation in the front end. So it's helping people really understand the different elements of a business. So we broke the chassis down into simple terms: finance, marketing, sales, systems, and people. And then the business owner themselves. So what's going on in their personal life. So example, Missy, if you've got, this week I sat down with a customer and we were due to talk about marketing. We had 2 hours planned in the diary, sat down, and without breaking any stories and stuff, let's just say their partner left them. And that's quite a bomb, right? Now, if I was the kind of person that's going to say, well, we've got an hour and 58 minutes to talk about marketing, that's some sad news, but we need to crack on, that doesn't make me a very good human being. So what we did was we looked at all of the things that come on with a business owner and a human being in terms of what gets your head in the shed, because when your head's in the shed, you're no good. So the business chassis is a big part, but the human being and the mindset, the belief, the vision, the identity, all that sort of stuff became a huge part of this animal as well. So that was Sales Academy, and that's where Sales Academy has been. Helping people with their lead generation is something that we've done within Sales Academy. So we work very hard in the backgrounds to develop our identity, our brand. We train people on this every single time. So we had to be living and breathing that. We had to be kind of one chapter ahead in everything that we were doing to demonstrate. And we tested and measured every system out there. We tested and measured agency software. And, it just got so frustrated with the fact that it just wasn't intuitive enough. And we had whiteboard sessions of how we were going to get the content out of people's heads and how we get them thinking about how they talk to their customers in the right way, and how to get that automatic and automated so that it's on brand, it's on point, it's on message, it's talking to the customers, it's driving engagement, but it's done without them having to think about it to a level. Right. And then, funnily enough, we stumbled across SmarterQueue and we were like, someone's been inside our meeting rooms and inside our heads.
So how were you managing your social media before SmarterQueue?
Same as everybody else, I guess, manually. Sitting in front of Facebook and it says, what's on your mind? And I'm like, I have no clue, but my coach says I need to write some social media posts. So then they get into writer's block and paralysis. And so I was suffering that. I started to challenge myself in terms of the content writing, challenge myself in terms of simple steps, because I'm a simple guy. I just like things to be easy and simple and become part of my DNA.
Yeah.
Right? So habit forming stuff. So when I started to look at automation then, in terms of challenge myself to go, right, well, how can I bulk schedule? How can I use these tools better? And back in the day, it was like TweetDeck and Buffer and Hootsuite and stuff. And I'm using brands that are potentially competitors, whatever. I don't mean like that. But I just got frustrated. They're kind of more well-known brands, if you like, if that makes sense in terms of the social space. But I just got really frustrated with the fact that they just don't function, to be honest. So I'm a busy guy, busy with multiple businesses. I don't need something that I have to put a full-time effort into. I want it to work with me, not against me. And there are lots of simple things like 31-day schedules that just don't work, because if I want to put a Motivation Monday post up and then automate it and recycle that content, if I put it up in a 30-day bulk upload, it's going to go out on Motivation Wednesday and make me look at it. So, it's these tiny little things that then become really big things because your brand is being damaged by a system that's not delivering what it should be. So yeah, there was some user error, there was some system errors, there was all that kind of stuff. But it was all manual, and it was tiny scheduling elements using software that just wasn't delivering.
Okay. So since using SmarterQueue, what results have you achieved? What has changed?
Okay, so the reason and this is where I get into raving fan status for SmarterQueue. So it's cool to be on this call, and I appreciate the time, right? My designer, literally, we were working through this, and I said to him, I want to get to 28 days recycled content, right? But I want the recycled content we need to know what's working and what's not. So I want us to be able to get rid of stuff that isn't working and test and measure, which is a huge part of marketing. Test and measure what works, do more of that, and do less of what doesn't. I also have a very strong identity in terms of not everyone's going to like me, and I'm cool with that. So my marketing works very hard on repelling the wrong kind of customers as well as attracting the right. So you kind of vibe attracts your tribe stuff. So the fact that I swear and I do, and it's just who I am. So if people don't like that on LinkedIn, that's okay, right? You can unfriend me, you can unfollow me. I'm cool with that. Because if you're not going to like on LinkedIn, you're certainly not going to like working with me for the next 18 months or whatever. So it's easier to be upfront and straight and authentic and be who you are. So we were starting to put some themes together and some categories together in terms of our content. So if we want to be consistent, and this is what I was challenging my designer on, is if you speak to me over the phone, you're going to get about 30% of my personality, because you're going to get the 70% non-verbal is kind of tucked away. If you meet me face to face, you'll possibly get between 70 and 100, depending on my mood. But then you go to my website or my social media, and it's a bit two-dimensional and a bit grey, and somebody else has written it, and it just isn't consistent with who we were and what we stood for. So that was the first part of really getting to understand our identity and brand. And then the themes and categories came in. So we went, well, what if I'm going to post something, if I'm going to share something, if I want to build this consistency, what does that look like? So we defined our themes or our categories to be poking the bear, because the bear needs poking. So our industry and society in general, and people's thought processes, and pattern interrupt and all this sort of stuff, and pattern redirect. So let's poke the bear with a big fat stick because it needs poking. Let's have some fun in what we're doing, because social is fun anyway. So let's make sure our message, there's some fun stuff going out, because that always helps engagement and reach. And then let's look at inspiring, educating, and motivating. So there were 5 categories. So if we look at education alone, so as an education category, the themes that sit under that for us were finance, marketing, sales, systems, people, and the business owners. So there's 6 themes under 5 categories, right? Under one of the categories. So now I started to do some maths applying to this and going, how many pieces of content do I need to get to the point where if I use a tool effectively, I can automate my content, I can recycle the good stuff, I can make sure it's on point because it's under my categories and themes. So our audience start to see consistency in the messages, and they start to identify that color relates to motivation, this message relates to inspiration. So they start to subconsciously come on a journey with us, which is beautiful. And that sounds like a lot of work, because to be prolific on social is a full-time job. So then what we found was, and I'm just going through this now with a customer who sat to the left of me, which she sat in the back right to the left. Yeah, and we've just gone through a number, right, based on pieces of content. So this is live. Pieces of content, currently 281 pieces of content that she's got stocked in her armory. So to keep it really simple, Missy, they're literally pieces of content. Let's just call them images. So she's got 281 images. For our 281 images, there's an exercise we take them through that's going to take that to 2,248 pieces of content. And then that exercise gets spread across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I think that's 7 there. 6. Okay. So I'm doing these maths live. I know this on record, right? So you can cut and edit some of these bits out. 2,248 times 6 That's 13,488 posts going to go in SmarterQueue. And so we're teaching people offline how to use your software online effectively in a way that just they can sit back and go, if I don't want to, I don't have to touch my social media because it's working, it's driving engagement, it's getting responses. So it's all the psychology in the front end to then use your software to then get the results everybody wants. Beautiful. But then we're also coming in and going, yeah, but you can't. You can't not touch it. But it just takes the pressure away and gives you the headspace. So you're not sitting in front of your Facebook going, what's up, Zuck? You are literally sitting there going, shit, Brexit's happening. We need to say something today that's topical to do with it. You can do that as well. So it doesn't stop it. It's an and world instead of an all world. But the peace of mind and the breath of fresh air you get when you just get people contacting you, message you going, saw your post, love the blog, can you come and talk to my team?
Yeah.
And you don't even know the blog's gone out, right? Because it's just been scheduled and automated. And then I look back at it and go, do you know what? I wrote that blog in 2013. And then I looked up on my analytics on my website, and that blog has had over 1 million views, right? And I know the business is coming through from that blog. But for the people that see it for the first time, and I think this is what people are so afraid of with social, and this is why I love SmarterQueue so much, because it does it intuitively, is then I can spread my social media posts, and like this customer now, they're going to spread those 13,000 media posts and recycle them across all the platforms, right? And then suddenly I might sit down with her in 2 months' time. I've got a little more content to do. I've got some real call to actions for my website. Can I add those in? So I upload it in the bulk scheduler, press shuffle, add the snippets in, and suddenly, it's all going again. I don't have to wait to the end of the queue and stuff.
Yeah.
So it really, truly is like you saw inside my head a number of months ago, my designer's head a number of months ago, when we discovered this, because you had the themes, you had the categories, you had the post planner, you had all these things, and they worked intuitively together, and so easy with the drag and drop stuff. So my brain has gone, your system is like a Porsche in comparison to the kind of Volkswagen I was driving before. Right? And I don't know if you know this, but a Volkswagen Golf and a Porsche 911 Carrera are built on exactly the same chassis. But the performance is completely different if you get my meaning.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that.
All right, so what I'm then doing offline with your system is your Porsche is there. What I'm doing is getting customers to make that like a track car. Because now we're winning championships with a track car because we've got the foundations of a bloody good Porsche. What we're putting on is the psychology and understanding their brand and their identity and then taking that to Grand Prix level.
That's incredible. I love that whole system, how you're able to just like amplify all of the social media, taking 200 posts and then making thousands.
Yeah, it's insane, but it's brilliant. And it's so effortless once you've done the hard work. And I'm seeing this here about 3 months worth of content creation with clients. So we're working with them to develop about 3 months worth. And in that 3 months, they'll get to a gold number that we talk about, which is 168 pieces of content. That's the starting figure that I target people to get to in 3 months. And from that 168, on average, we're getting about 12,096 posts.
Wow. Do you have any ballpark ROI on what has come out of this social media strategy for you specifically in your business?
Yeah. So in terms of, there's two key areas. One, cost saving. And this is where a lot of people in business, if you look at a bucket, if we all spend loads of money on lead generation, but the bucket's leaking, we're just working very hard to stand still a lot of the time. So again, something in Sales Academy that we have to work on is we have to fix that bucket. So lead generation is actually one of the last things we will do. It's always the first thing that people want to do. But I'm kind of slowing them down a little bit to go, look, let's not waste loads of money on lead marketing when actually your sales process isn't there, your systems aren't in place, your products and services are screwed. We need to figure out your pricing because you're working lots of hours and not making any money doing it, and you're not a charity. So let's just take a breath and work these things out first. And then once we start to put the lead generation in, that's when the leads go off the scale and the kind of return goes off the scale in terms of an ROI. So figures differ because of their price points. But if we look at two elements, cost saving, because the amount of money that we're paying in software, the amount of man hours that we were taking in terms of manually scheduling this stuff, and the amount of people I needed to actually pull this together, that's all gone. One piece of software.
That's amazing.
Then you see the return on investment in terms of money coming in. Well, I've got people signing up to my programs now off a blog that I wrote in 2013 that's automatically being scheduled on LinkedIn today and then Instagram in 3 months' time, and then also, and I don't even know it's going up. I know when the response is coming in, and I'm getting responses on a daily basis from content that they're seeing, and some of it, which is it feels like an unmeasurable byproduct. And I remember Richard Branson said years ago, 50% of my advertising works, I just don't know which 50%. And you know, when you've got people content, you're going, oh my God, you are everywhere. You are all over this and stuff like you are. And it's like the kind of expectation, it's like small businesses can just seriously punch above their weight with a tool like SmarterQueue because it's delivering their content. Once they've got that bit nailed, they're really delivering their content across multiple platforms, 24 hours a day without them having to think about it. And what you're seeing is people that are just lurking and lurking and lurking because they're not all in the market ready to buy it at any one time. But they're starting to know, like, and trust you. They're starting to build that relationship subconsciously with you. I was doing a talk last week to a lot of business owners. 70% of buying decisions are made now before we actually reach out to a company. So we're Googling people from the toilet, that means, right? We're sat on our iPad figuring stuff out in terms of going, I have this need for something. I know it's coming down the road. But why would I buy this person over these other 9 people if I line 10 of them up? Well, they're lurking and they're watching and they're lurking and they're watching. And then suddenly, when they're ready, they buy. That's when they reach out.
Yeah.
And what this system does with what we're doing offline as well with it is it just gets you into that prolific state where you are really on point, really on message, talking about your customers' pains and pleasures in a way that they're just seeing it everywhere. But the beautiful thing, the last thing on this point, Missy, is I detest it, lazy marketing. I detest it, right? And it's such a disease within small businesses because we don't get into business to become a marketeer. You know, if we like making pens, we get into business to make pens. Now we've got accounts, we've got service, we've got customers, we've got all these annoying things to deal with, and it takes us away from our love of making pens, right? So to literally have the time and the ability to constantly revisit your marketing and constantly revisit your plan and constantly revisit your strategy, knowing that everything's being marketed in the back, you can just keep adding in.
Yeah, it's smart. Definitely helps take the manual piece out of it and just keep you going at that prolific stage, which is incredible. So one last question for you here. How likely are you to recommend SmarterQueue, and why should someone listening take action now?
Well, I think I probably answered that within the earlier questions. So, so 2 things. Well, I'm referring it to all my clients, and one of the things I've said, because you give the 30-day trial and stuff, and this 60-day extension, if I refer them, is what I'm saying is let's get ready before you use it. So I think it's the mindset shift that needs to happen in terms of going back to what I said earlier about the Porsche. Your system is a Porsche. It's a Ferrari. It's a superb system of all the systems that are out there, right? But if people aren't ready to utilize it, then they're not going to get the best return on investment. So there's no question that your system works. There's no question that SmarterQueue is for me the best out there. So in terms of referring to my clients, it's easy to do business with. It makes sense. I can adjust stuff. I can change stuff. I can make specific snippets to specific platforms. If I want 1 hashtag on Facebook and 17 on Instagram and stuff, your system enables me to do it. If I want to wax stuff at the end of the queue, the beginning of the queue, or shuffle it, I can do it. You know, I can upgrade. Recently, I've upgraded a client in terms of their number of posts that they're using, and they were getting concerned that they were going to reach a limit, and suddenly they've gone from 1,000 up to 5,000 posts, and it's cost them, I think, £6 difference a month. So it's not offensive to small business either in terms of the level. So you can scale and grow with it, which is beautiful. And that's quite hard because, again, going back to the point, businesses buying into stuff and not really knowing what they're buying into can sometimes get locked into something and they outgrow that something very quickly, like a CRM, for example. But then what they do is they spend all of their time making their business fit the CRM rather than getting a CRM that works for them. What I love about SmarterQueue is it grows with you. You can add more profiles, you can add more posts, you can build up the plan, but it's bespoke, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. So there's no change, so it's fun.
That's awesome. Well, thank you.